But that's not what that machine does.
Okay.
That machine interacts with you.
Okay.
And you share things.
Right.
And some things are taken from you and some things are given to you. So it's not a download, is it? It's a game of tennis.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
And that leaves you affected afterwards.
Like it's a two-way communication thing that's going on a very deep level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not completely convinced that link's still not there. It might, for want of a better way of putting it, Bluetooth.
That's interesting.
And that's something that we haven't discussed before.
Like I
understand that, but and I'm not actually 100% sure that what I'm saying there is right.
Yeah. So, just to clarify what you're saying there, you're saying there might be like an ongoing remote connection which you're not always fully aware of.
Yeah, a mental connection that maybe isn't even deliberate on either part.
Okay.
Just as like a residual effect.
I got you.
So yeah, that golf's an example. There's been others.
Okay, so the reason why we were talking about...
So the reason we're talking about it is because how you...
About that.
Right, so then you are brought to my attention.
There's a setup, and at that point I'm just a name on your...
Another name.
Just another name.
Just some character in a funny act that I've got to go and deal with, and I've done some research. Well, the research is done for me. And then I looked into it, and yeah, fine. Just, and to be honest, I saw you as a very easy person to deal with because you're not military. You've got no criminal elements to you. What you see is what you get. So I thought, you're a stand-up guy. The stand-up guys are the easiest ones to deal with because they've got morals.
Okay.
You can hang someone on their morals just like that.
Okay.
They will do the right thing. I told you a story about if you want to get to someone, you just have a cab pull up with a woman with a castle, right?
Yes.
And the good guy will go straight over him, and you're in.
Yeah.
It's easy. But if you're trying to deal with someone that isn't moralistic, he would just stand there and that won't work.
Yeah. What you're saying is that the stand-up guy, as you call them, is just very predictable.
Yeah.
And if you've got an opponent or a target who's very predictable, then it's dead easy to do.
Yes, you're playing a game of chess and you know every move that person's going to make. It's not going to be much of a game, is it?
Yeah, right. Okay. So you thought it was going to be a pushover and you thought it was just going to... Or something like that?
Yeah, no, I thought it was going to be a pushover.
Okay.
No problem. I didn't think you'd take up more than a couple of days of my time.
Okay. So here we are 6 months later.
There you go. So...
What's happened at that point that caused...
Well, that education, shall we say, that interaction... basically, it was the golf situation again. I didn't approach it as I usually approach it. I was more thoughtful about it, which was unusual. Well, I'm always thoughtful about things because you've got to be careful. But I seem to be more worried about the individual than the task at hand, which is very unusual. And that's the first thing that pricked my ears to the situation. So I dragged my heels on that and conversed with you. And it put me in quite hot water.
And just for the record, this was in August of this year, 2010.
Yeah. So we conversed, and I was asked why I was entering into a dialogue with you and not just getting on with it. And I said, well, you're not the nut we thought you were, and I'm not going to be able to crack you the way I thought I was going to, and this is the way I'm going to do it, which was accepted because it's happened before, and that was an explanation. And I actually said that I'm going to bring you into my confidence, disinfo you, and make your credibility zero. That's how. That's what I was going to do. And so, communication with you was then smiled upon. That's just, he is doing his job. That's no problem. The thing was, in talking to you, you changed my mind, and no one does that. And that's where I say that machine changed me.
To enable that to be possible. You mean the machine
to listen to you?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going on, so why would I listen to you? But it turned out you do. Or you had an inclination. I'm sure there's many people like that. Then, as I dragged my heels, eyebrows were raised, because it's still, we'll move on a month.
Yeah.
Why is it still not dealt with? And what's more, some things he's doing are even more annoying. So it was realised that perhaps I wasn't going to do what I was meant to do, and you were given to other people. And those other people, well, see, they had tried to deal with you before me. Others had tried to.
They had tried to?
Yeah, and you had difficulties that you know.
Aha. Okay.
And it didn't work, so that's why I was... Because really, it was a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a walnut, to get me out of mothballs. You've got to understand, on a to go and deal with something, me actually at this point, it might be prudent to say that I didn't do that anymore. It was a little bit of a sledgehammer to crack a walnut.
Right.
Which is another reason that made you more of a spectacle for me to look at.
Yes. Are you able to say on record here that what you're referring to is that other people were deployed to interfere with the work that Kerry Cassidy and I were doing in Project Camelot? Are you able to say that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you're saying that...
And to interfere with your relationship, divide and conquer.
Yes. Okay. So, without going into those embarrassing details for individuals concerned, let's just say that happened, but then all that happened then was the amoeba split, and you could sort of say...
we had two problems.
Then you had two problems, because then you had Kerry doing her thing and me doing my thing.
Yeah, so that's when I was brought in, because it obviously wasn't working.
Right.
And that wasn't the way to deal with it.
Okay.
And then, as I said, you know, your file dropped on my desk and I started to do what I wanted. And then in our discourse I realised that there was more to you than met the eye. I dragged my heels, wondered why you were such a issue. And the more I dragged my heels, the more uptight people that don't get uptight got. And that set some alarm bells off for me as well. And I whenever you see something like that, it's always a good idea to find out why, because financially and business-wise there might be an advantage in there. So I felt it prudent, because I'm always after the next man's chair, and that man knows that. So I thought, you know, I'll look into this, and that's why I dragged my heels. And then I realised it was getting more intense, and they actually showed themselves up, and it got to a point where I had to be told what and why.
Yeah. And it became apparent there's much more to this than met the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about that can you say here?
What, genetics?
Try it. Yeah.
Okay.
This is now entering another huge area of this playing field, right?
Yeah. This is the problem you're going to have. Do you remember when we first spoke? When we decided that we said that we're going to go off in different fields, and you can spend 6 hours on each one.
Absolutely.
And I'm not even an educated man, so it's going to be hard for me to. So that makes the problem, the process even longer, doesn't it? But yeah, so genetically, there are lines of people, and those people have been around that genetic line, not family name, although that does often go in hand. Those genetic lines of people have known things for many, many years, thousands of years, and it's put them in a prominent position. 98% of the money with 2% of the people. Is it really that hard to understand?
Yeah.
That if you've got the money, you're not going to let it go.
Yeah.
And if you've got the money, people are going to come to you with their ideas. So you get the jump on everybody else. And if you decide not to publish that idea, and that idea is handy for your business, is it really that far-fetched? I mean, is it that hard for people to understand that if you've got an advantage at every step of the way, that you're going to end up in charge?
Yeah. What we're talking about, just for other people's benefit, is what other writers and presenters are talking about bloodlines.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You're talking about bloodlines.
Yeah. And there are hundreds and hundreds of bloodlines, but most of them don't matter. There's probably about 400. There's 427 that are probably relevant, and they're controlled by 33. 33
bloodlines.
Yeah.
And the 33 bloodlines, would it be correct to say that they're on the inside?
They are the inside.
They are the inside.
Yeah.
They determine what's inside and what's outside.
Yeah.
Okay. And they know what's going on. They know the whole story.
Yes.
And the others.
And that's where the story gets crazy.
And that's when.
I'm not really part of that.
I understand.
And I'm not actually in with that. You know me as a person, and you know that I'm very down to earth.
Yeah.
And I'm not a flower child in any way, and to me it's a complete load of nonsense. But it's their religion.
Yes.
And it didn't matter to me because it makes me money.
Yes. Yes.
That's the early stage. Of course, I realised as I'm an older man and that I haven't actually got an awful lot of time left, that maybe I'm going to kick them in the nuts on the way out.
Yes. Right. Why is it that, in using your words, that you want to kick them in the nuts, and you're using this opportunity to do it in a way? In a way. Is it okay to say that on record?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it? Why would you want to do that?
Because I can.
Okay.
I really can't give you a better answer than that.
Okay.
You know my character now. It's what I do, isn't it? It's why I'm. It's the ability I've got.
Yes.
It's the unpredictable ability that I've got.
Yeah.
So you can't turn it off, can you? I've got myself in trouble before with it, you know. So it's not a case of. You know, someone's not mentally ill if they can suddenly behave themselves when the police turn up.
Right. Catch-22.
Yeah, they're not mentally ill because they've behaved themselves. If they carry on going completely crazy and attack the police, then it's a fair assumption that they are actually quite ill.
Yes.
If you see what I mean.
I understand what you're saying.
So I can't turn it off. I really am what I am. That is actually letting it run out. That interference was part of it.
Yes.
You know, that is the argument that is always going on.
Yes.
And it's a chicken and egg, isn't it? You know, is he interfering or is he meant to interfere?
Is it? Yes. It's like, is the interference actually part of the natural process?
Part of the natural process.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. If the lion jumps on the deer, is that interference?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it's just the lion doing, etc., etc.
Right. Yeah. Was it cruel? It's not. No.
Yeah.
And you can put that into in the world as well. You know, the politics, the energy crisis, etc. You know, they're letting it play out
with some tweaking and steering. Maybe, is that an understatement?
Well, this is what we're saying. Is tweaking and steering. Is the human race interference for the planet?
Right.
Or was it meant to happen?
Yes.
All right. So we make a big mess of it. Yeah. A couple of million years go by. Does it matter? Of course not.
Yeah.
If the planet's black, what form of life comes next?
Yeah.
Was it meant to?
Okay.
So so I don't get involved in that. And as I said, my feet are on the ground. I don't care about all that. That's their argument. You've asked me to explain it.
Okay.
I've done it as best as I can, but I'm not really interested in it.
I think that's very clear. I think it's amazingly interesting, and of course, here I can say that I
find it excruciatingly boring. There you go. But then I didn't like history.
Well, right, yes, it's off record. Is what you've always. I mean, in the past when we've spoken off record, you've always referred to it as a history lesson, and you're always interested in the here and now. You're not interested in all the tradition and the history and the background and the context for all of this. Never been part of it. Yes, I understand. But it has been an interesting few months for us both, in a way. Yeah. In a way here.
Things are always fairly interesting for me anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a little bit more interesting.
Yes. In the sense of the Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times.
Yeah.
Some things have been a bit too interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, just before we get off into lots of different
you've got to decide which way you want to go
here.
now.
Yes, I do. I just want to make sure that, I guess to your satisfaction and mine, that we're kind of squared off with how it is that we've got to this point today, nearly at the end of 2010. I'm still standing. So are you.
Yeah.
We're having this conversation now, and this is, in my view, this is pretty huge, because I don't believe anything of this information has ever been released on the public record before.
No,
not at all.
Not, no.
And you're taking this sort of on your shoulders to do this. Although you would say, wait a minute, in my shoulders, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I also know that there are protocols involved here, which we've talked about, which are fascinating, which is that you are not allowed to tell me what to do or to give me advice, because that's interfering with me playing out.
I mean, what would be the point of doing that?
Yeah, right. Because that's interfering again.
Yeah, it's me doing it then, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm just up to a dastardly deed as usual.
Yeah, right.